Hey everybody, today I'm going to be posting how to make this plane Blackjack. It's a very nice plane, better than I know I haven't posted in a while, my previous one, Griffin, which had all these cool features. Blackjack has had more. Blackjack has the gun, the landing gear, the engines, I don't know if you could see it from here, the fins, better wings, they're a bit wider. Actually, I don't know. It also has the air intakes too, of course. I've also come up with a better cockpit. This plane is going to the foldable flight contest, so I hope to win. You are going to need a square sheet of paper. I recommend maybe like at least printer paper. I mean the size of it, like at least 8 inches by 8 inches. First, you start by folding in half. Then you fold it in half. Sorry for the shaking camera. Fold it in half the other way. Then you open this up, squash fold it. Squash fold the other side. Fold this up to the top. Now squash fold these two parts. I might have to go a bit fast because I was already making the video halfway through. I get 20,000 interruptions and I don't have time to, explain everything. So, because I had to cut the video out. Don't know how to edit. Squash fold this as well. Squash fold these two. Open this up. Fold from here to here. Fold this edge to here on both sides. Rabbit ear fold this. This way as well. This is a very long and difficult origami piece to fold, so if if you're not that good, if you're like a beginner, this is advanced level. Also, I won't be explaining, I'll be explaining, of course, but I won't be explaining every individual step since I don't have time. And then flip it over, fold to there, flip it over again, swivel fold here, and you're basically pushing this part inside as well. Open this up. Fold this to the other side. Same thing right here. Flip this to the other side. Fold this edge to the center. Same thing here. Pedal fold this. Again, sorry if I'm going a bit fast. Because before my video it gets interrupted by calls. Still, sometimes it gets interrupted, the video stops suddenly, so I have to, that already happened, forgot to put on do not disturb, so I have to go as fast as I can. Fold this to the center. And then unfold it. Same thing here. Well, you see this diagonal crease. Let me find my pointer thing here. This diagonal crease right here, you're flipping this over and folding it. I'll show you how to fold it after. Like this, basically. Set this edge parallel to the center, and you want this crease to land on the center. And then you're going to squash fold or swivel fold this, so this crease lands here. Then fold this point to the center. Same thing right here. Then you were going to basically make a, oh, sorry, 1 second. Let me backtrack a bit. First, you have to fold this edge down to here. All the way into there. Same thing right here. All the way into the pocket. Then after that, you grab this crease right here and pull it just like this, using this crease. Same thing on the other side. Flip the flap to both sides. Then you are basically going to swivel fold, take this edge to that crease that we just had a backtrack to make right here. Swivel fold that, unfold it, and then open it up, right, because we have that crease already. And then, it's a bit of a difficult step, you want to basically open it up, and it's like a double swivel fold. You want to make a crease from here to right here, this intersection right here, right, and then swivel it this other way. Flatten that out. And you just want to fold this again and unfold it. Then we're going to take this flap to the other side. The same thing here. Then you could keep both sides the same, so you could just match them up right now. Swivel that. Sorry about that. Sorry about the camera. And then fold this flap in and back out like that. And we're gonna unfold until we get through here. And because we can't keep the landing gear right there complete yet, because once we make the wings, there'll be a thing at the back that making the landing gear now will prevent us from doing a certain step in the future. So we're gonna have to fold this edge to here. Same thing right here. Fold this flap over this edge. Same thing here. Then we're going to fold this edge to here. On both sides. Then inside reverse those two. Then just fold this edge to the center on both sides. Now we'll unfold that, and we're going to basically take this behind here, kind of fold it, so we're continuing this crease into there. And it's a swivel fold right now, so you basically want to land this edge on that crease. Same thing on the other side, fold into there. We're going to flip this over. You're going to want to sink this in. We want this little flap out of the way. Then we're going to take this. This is the part that the landing gear would have prevented us from doing. You just want to take this part out, because this part right here would have been stuck. And you just want to continue, push it to the other side. And then fold this to the center. Leave a tidbit of room, like a millimeter, from it in the center. Fold this flap down. Same thing on the other side. Open this up, push it over there. Close that. Now push this flap down. Now you are going to fold this tip to the top. Inside reverse this. Unfold that, and then basically swivel fold like that, and then swivel fold again and flatten this part out like that. And then you're basically going to fold a 90-degree angle. The crease catches right there, and there's a crease right here on this edge, and you have to land it right here along that crease right there and this edge. So it should be a perfect 90-degree angle. Flip that over and do it on the other side. You can pull it, and then it's going to get caught right there. So make it 90-degree angle, land this crease right there. Now unfold that. Then you're basically unfolding this as well, because now we're going to get to work on the wings. So the problem with the wings now is that it does sometimes get uneven, and if you make this plane like twice, you will see what I mean. And you'll see it in a few steps. So first, you want to make a crease from here until here, and you're taking the... One second. You're taking from here and landing this line on itself. Only crease till about right there, that crease. And then you're gonna wanna fold from this crease and get this edge to land on itself. Now you want to swivel it so that, and here's going to be the problem, because in a perfect world, you'd have the crease ending right there, and we're going to make another swivel fold where the crease should end right there. But sometimes there's a bit of an imbalance, like sometimes it goes like this, or sometimes it happens like, sometimes something like this would happen where it doesn't go all the way to there. So you're going to have to play around with this a bit. Watch. You want to have, basically, see this crease we made earlier? This crease right here and this crease we just made intersect. So you want to basically try to make sure that the crease goes so that this new crease goes through that intersection. And then after that, you want to basically swivel this down. So here's what I'm talking about. In the perfect world, the crease would end right there, and it would end right there. But a lot of times that doesn't happen, and you don't see it now, but let's say in this case, if the crease were to end here, exactly on this point, then it would be more noticeable here. There would have still been a bit of paper left there. And that could be very annoying sometimes. After that, you're going to want to inside reverse a bunch of stuff. Just inside reverse these creases. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. First, you're going to want to get this out of the way right here so you can make a crease from here and have this point land on this edge. Just making a parallel crease. After that, you are going to make a fold from this point and have this edge land on itself. And now, obviously you want to have this crease that you're about to make go through that intersection of this crease and this crease. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out so much right there because it doesn't go straight to that crease, and you're going to swivel this back down there. It works perfectly, at least on this part. You also want to make sure that this edge right here, this flap lands on itself. Definitely want to make sure of that. And then you unfold this, inside reverse this section, and bring this part up. And the flap should still land on itself. Now you are going to basically fold this edge along this edge and inside reverse it. Same thing right here. Inside reverse that. Open along here. Now's a pretty weird part. Now you have to open this up a bit. And you're making a crease from here to this point right there. First you do that. And after you're going to make a crease from here to that point right there. Good. And then once you have both of those, you could just close this. And if you want to make sure you're really accurate, sorry about the shaking camera. If you want to make sure you're really accurate, there's a crease right here and this edge, so make sure that they both just line up. Flatten everything out right there. And now you have this situation here, so you could close the pocket like this. Now, as I've said before, there's a lot of annoying things about this plane, and here's another one of them. Because when you're folding, in a perfect world, you'd have this layer perfectly aligned with that layer, that edge. Here it doesn't happen, so you kind of want to mess around with it a bit until it does. It's a lot better when they perfectly align. Same thing over here. First, you make a crease from here to here. You make a crease from here to right there. Make sure that this crease in there aligns with this edge. And after that, flatten it all out. And okay, so in this case, this edge right here and this edge do perfectly align. So have it like that, please. One thing that'll often also happen is that this side won't be even with this, and I bet it happened now. Yep, it did happen just a bit. So I fixed that, and now basically we're gonna wanna come back here and we're gonna undo the step that we did a bit before, because now we could finally get the chance to finish the landing gear basically. So we are going to redo this step right here. We already have all the creases made. And you kind of want to take from this crease you already made until right here. Make a new crease there. This part's a bit tough. You want to flatten this out like this. And you kind of have to get past this little flap right here. And you also want to separate this flap and this. After that, after that, you're going to squash fold this. You're going to squash fold this. And then you go under here. And you inside reverse fold all of this. So now all of it is basically, you don't have all the ugly layers peeking out. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just flip this landing gear over. And refold on all the creases you made before. Fold from this point to here. Then, even though they're not really supposed to, you have to kind of separate this layer and this layer. Flatten that layer out. And squash it. Now, another thing about this is that sometimes it doesn't want to go all the way to there, to that point. And that's why you kind of got to work around that a bit. There we go. And get this whole chunk inside of the plane. Just like that. Now that we've got the landing gear done, just want to work on it a bit, smoothing out these layers. Try to get them to align. Obviously, if you want an easier time pulling out the landing gear and putting it back in, then you're going to need to flatten it a lot. And then finally, we can just fold on these to reinforce the nose, make it fly a little heavier, fly a little faster, I meant, because it's going to be more nose heavy. And then after that, you could just put it to one side. Try to make it pointy. You could squash fold it if you want, but to like get it out of the way a bit, but I don't like doing that, so I just like putting it to one side. Then inside reverse fold this, like so. And now, you see this landing gear kind of gets a bit annoying. And now basically you're, what do I call this? Inside reversing these. Just like that. So at this point lands right here. Same thing on the other side. Inside reverse fold it. After that, you're gonna fold this flap up and then inside reverse it. That's why the landing gear is one of the more annoying parts of the plane, because instead of being able to fold this flat, you've got like a little bump over there that's making it a bit uncomfortable to do that. Fold this flap up, inside reverse. Then you're gonna take this flap, fold it up again. And now you are basically folding this point to the center, parallel to the center. Then you're gonna do kind of petal fold. This layer is too thick to fold down, so you kind of just have to work with what you have a bit. Then, so this is going to become the gun, and it's a lot harder than it looks to make this. You want to squash this layer. Open that back up. Squash this layer. Open that back up. And open. Oh. Well, it doesn't exactly open like that. So what you're gonna have to do instead is a bit of. Give me a second. All right, so you have to open this up too, and then you're gonna want to fold like this. So you're opening that up again. Then you are basically going to swivel fold this. Maybe like fold the landing gear to the opposite direction you want to work in. It doesn't bother you. Want to swivel fold this so that this crease right here lands on this edge. This crease right here should go to the intersection of this edge and this crease right there. Then after that, you're gonna fold this edge to here. Inside reverse fold that. And then you're swiveling it like this way. And you know you got it right when this crease, this fold you just made, ends at this crease right here. in my opinion, the gun is probably the hardest part of the plane, just because it takes what appears to be an unnecessarily long time. Do the same thing here. Swivel. Oh, let me just move this stupid thing out of the way. Swivel it so that this crease lands on that edge. Make sure this crease goes into the right place, which is where this edge and this crease meet. Fold right here like that. Then swivel it again. Right. And now what we're going to do is a pretty hard step. The first is a relatively easy step. We just want to sink this part out. Because it's supposed to be like this. Then reverse all that back inside. Sink this outside and then flatten that. And then reverse all this stuff behind everything. Now comes a bit of a weird part, because you have to come like swivel, basically. Just watch. We're gonna swivel this. It's kind of like a squash fold, but then you want to take this out. So it's gonna end up like this, and then you have to line this up and make sure this edge lands on itself right there. And yep, that is pretty hard. Might be the hardest step. After that, you go undo this. Right, so you're undoing that, get to here. You have to basically see how this layer is squashing itself right then. So you're doing kind of a swivel fold right there. Make sure this layer lands on itself right here. Okay. And then after all of that, just bring this point down to the center. We're still not done with that part. I know. After that, we have to basically get these layers in here behind. So you're gonna have to kind of open this up and do a little bit of a probably a pedal fold, I'd call this. Yeah, exactly, a pedal fold. So you're like sinking those layers back inside the plane. See, those layers went from being here to being behind everything else. Let me just fix this little part. So now, as you can see, we have this thing right here, which is going to end up being these flaps right there. It's getting really hard, I know. Then we're going to basically swivel fold like this, taking this to the center. And swiveling until that gets to this point. Really, the weird thing is that these two edges should be landing on there, but they're not for some reason. Could be it's a bit too high up. That's weird. So after you do that, this crease should end right there. Not on this edge, but on that crease right there. Flip that over. Yep, now this landing gear really starts getting in the way. Do the same thing here. Swivel fold it to the center. And like that. And then you're kind of doing a rabbit ear fold where you're taking, basically, see where this edge and this crease, this part, where they intersect, you're going to start the crease there, and you're gonna see this little crease right here. It's parallel to the center. And you're gonna want this edge right here to land on that crease. So watch. Starting from here, closing this while you're doing it, and landing that edge on that crease right there. You'll probably be able to see at this point why I consider this to be the hardest part of the plane. Then you kind of want to flip this over to the other way and do the same thing. The crease starts from there. You're the crease starts inside there. You're basically flattening it out. So now you got this one flap new flap right here, and from that we could pretty easily make the gun. So you're just gonna squash fold that open. Make sure the two parts are even. Fold this part down. Fold that little triangle down. And then we're basically going to take this part out. See how we have here? Take this part out and just flatten it like that. Same thing here. Then you're going to, another difficult part. You're going to basically, first, you have to swivel fold this down. Until it meets with this corner right there. Then it'll rip if you pull any more. Same thing here. Swivel it this way. Then you have to unfold that and reverse this. And as you're doing that, you also want to, oh my god, it's hard for me even too, and I do this all the time. You want to make a new crease from here to here, along that edge basically. And you're making a new crease from right here to here. So it should look like this. Yeah, I know this is insanely difficult, but that's what you gotta do. After that, you do the same thing on this side. You're unfolding that a little bit, sinking this, reversing that part, and you want to make a crease from here to there. And you're making another crease from here to there. Then you're going to want to open this up and fold this edge to this crease. Same thing here. I'm going to try not to get it so messy. And then you're going to fold, this is very small, so you're going to have to fold this layer right here to this part, this edge. Let's get out a microscope here. Let's see if I could just... Good. Kind of grab this edge, fold it to there, like that. And you're gonna want to swivel fold from the end there to right here. You want to open this up and fold this layer over here. And close it like that and put it all the way under there. You want to bring this air intake, you have this layer, but you want to bring this air intake up over it. Like that. Right there. Do the same thing right here. Fold that layer to that edge. And swivel fold it. Now, just fold this extra paper over, close it up, just get rid of this whole layer as quickly as possible. Now put it under the air intake and under all of these layers. Whoops, something got out. Right here, like that. close these. These are such a headache to make. I don't know. It's like that. You really got to work out this plane because, as I said before, it's very difficult, even for me. I have been making it for 6 months. It still hasn't gotten any easier. At least it looks cooler. So now, obviously, you can see clearly we literally have a gun right here. And then you want to kind of fold it into thirds. So you want to fold this, each section, into thirds. So only a third should cross the center line. After that, fold it back and fold the point into the crease you just made. Same thing here. So now that you got that all folded into thirds, wow, this stuff. You wanna inside reverse the big part in. Such a small detail that's honestly very hard to even do. Being realistic, this is probably the hardest plane. Obviously the hardest plane on the channel, but also most likely the hardest plane I'll make in a while. And then you could try to fit this tiny layer under here. It will almost certainly come out a lot, because when you're working with such small layers, it's kind of hard. Do I want to tape it? No. Then you just fold the remaining paper under there, and you got one part of that headache of a gun. You have that finished. That's the hardest part of the plane. And we still got the cockpit, the locking, the wings aren't ready yet, and the back landing gear. As I said, this is a long plane. It should take like an hour and a half. This is not easy at all. Now I'll just finish with this once and for all. Just try and inside reverse this. Now this part's getting out of hand again, so I'm just gonna take that out. And redo it just a bit. I think I remember, since this is going to the foldable flight contest, if this wins, remember there's like four or five levels. The final one is usually expert, but then I think there was a 5th level master, and I remember there being only one plane in that category, and this is going to be, if this wins, this is going to be the second. Fold it like that. Oh, that other part came out. Fold that under. At this point, obviously, my plane's don't really use tape. I'm not really that into that. But I think I'm gonna have to use it right now. Because if you want this to last, make small pieces of tape. Obviously, you could even technically open up the gun if you had like some sort of really small pin. That's not easy. Now to just stop these two freaking layers from coming out, I'm gonna add a tiny little piece of tape there. Oh, this part got folded. And another tiny little piece of tape there. Finally, it will stay that way. Oh, just one more. Tiny little piece of tape right over, let's see, here, yeah. Right here. Now you see the gun at the front, obviously. It's very small on this because this was made 8.5 from printer paper, so I cut into a square and it's now 8.5 by 8.5. Sometimes I use like 9.5 or something, 10 by 10. The gun could get a tiny bit bigger. Obviously, it's not going to be the most noticeable. You could even, let's say if you had a tiny pin, which I do have right here, you could technically open it up. You could round it, but that is very hard to do. As I said, there's also a layer here you could tuck under another layer to get it to stick, but it'll probably, most likely it'll fall out eventually. It's just a difficult part of the plane. There's nothing really I could do about that. What should we do next? So for the next part, we're probably gonna work on the wings a bit more. Let's take this out. You know what? Actually, first we'll work on the cockpit, I think. I feel like that's a better idea. First, pedal fold this. Pedal fold it up. And you want to flatten this part. And now you are basically going to swivel this open it up, and kind of do a spread squash fold. This maneuver right here, right now I'm only posting about fighter jets, and all of my fighter jets so far I've used this maneuver where you spread squash that and then you inside reverse it, or sink fold or whatever. You want to do that to the other side as well. And sink fold this into the plane. Alright. We'll work on the cockpit later. So for now we worked on that. That's good. Now we are going to basically put this little part under here. There's like a pocket you could insert it into. right there, which keeps this like locked under, which is great. Now what we are going to do, I guess, is we are going to flip this over, and here we're gonna make the back landing gears now, I guess. So we want to fold this. No matter, usually for me, actually always for me, no matter which way, no matter how accurately I fold this, it looks like this layer and this layer right here never align. Which bothers me, but it's okay. So you have to, so you could see the back of the layer pretty easily, I guess. So you have to fold from this point to there. Obviously the crease starts here at that point, which is good to see. There. And here as well. And then you're going to inside reverse that. And fold this flap out. Fold both these out. Fold them back in. Now here we're going to actually make the engines now. So you have this tiny bit of paper. You fold from right here until there. Until there. Make sure you really like flatten this crease so it's pretty easy to find after you unfold it. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to basically sink that in so that you get the engine. It's a little bit difficult to do that, but basically want to push that down. And you could even open up this layer, find the layer pushed into the plane, and you're going to want to work on it a bit. Want to make sure you push it all the way in. So that's our little engine thing right there. We're going to do this same thing other side. Now sink fold. Take this out for now and just sink that part into the plane. Sorry about the shaking camera. So now that you got that, that's basically the engine. And once we're completely done with the plane, then we could sort of open it up. Now we could finish the landing gear once and for all. So we're basically gonna take this. I want you to focus on this line that divides this piece in half. We're gonna fold a third of it over and fold the other third back across. Then you're going to inside reverse fold in, go in and out. Do that twice. Like this. Now obviously you could see we have the landing gear coming. Fold it like this, and you're just gonna match it on the other side as well. Inside reversing it once, and then folding it back the other way. Then you want to fold from here to basically, there's like a thicker point right there. Do that on one side, and you want to match it on the other side. The reason you're going to stop there is because that's where you have to like pick up the landing gear from, basically. Once you've done that, you could fold this in half. Right? And then I'm gonna fold this along this pre-existing crease. Fold this up. Fold basically from here and get this point to land on there. If you want to see. Like that. And then just push this part back down. As you can see, this is basically where the landing gear pops out from. So right now you could even go check. Just inside reverse the landing gear out of the plane. That's how you do it. Then we're going to take this layer and we are going to basically wrap it around. Just to get rid of that extra paper. Now that we got that, just flatten it out a bit. Like that, that's good. Now we're going to do all that on the other side. Fold a third of this over this line. Yeah, I should probably zoom in right now. Fold a third of it over that line. Fold a third of it back. And now fold like this inside reverse one. Inside reverse two. Fold this to match. Fold in. Fold back across that line. It's not going to be equal to thirds exactly, but now you going to inside reverse it once and inside reverse it again. Then open this up, fold almost all the way to the center until it catches on that one thick layer. Match up this side the best you can. fold this up along this crease right here, making a new crease, and then basically fold from here and get this point to land on this edge. And fold this back in. Then you can inside reverse the landing gear, fold this back down, and just wrap it around inside. Flatten this all out. This is one heck of a plane to make, and is almost over. Now you could actually tuck this thing in there. And then you are basically going to swivel fold. See this edge that we have right here of the engine? Folding along there. And it should basically stop at that crease. Fold this down and inside reverse it. Now you have to basically fold from here. Just get rid of that little layer here from here to here. Just get rid of that point. Like that. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Oops, that part is ripping. Fold along the edge of the engine. Swivel it until right there. It kind of wants to go a bit past it. The crease sometimes goes a bit past it. That's okay. That's actually preferred, usually. Mine got ripped a little, so inside reverse it like that. Tuck this little point behind. Now, let me just put that back in. Okay, now here's what we got done. We're almost done with the air intakes, and we're almost done with the wings, and we're gonna have to do the cockpit. So total, this is probably gonna come out to like 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's gonna take me a whole week to upload to YouTube, whatever. Let me zoom out, because now we don't have to be so focused anymore. Obviously still be focused, but now we're going to fold this edge to here. Don't fold any of this other stuff. Just make sure it's just this edge. And then you're folding it to there. Kyle from Foldable Flight is going to have a nightmare going over this one. Then swivel it until that point. From there till there. Sorry, Kyle. It should look exactly like this. land this edge, this layer on itself. Swivel fold, you basically have this crease. Excuse me. Swivel fold this down until there. Fold it back up. Then just fold it in. Fold this layer to here, to this line right here. Make that a pretty sharp fold, and then you have to open sync all of these creases. Even I remember this plane being so tough. Wow. Then you're gonna basically make a fold from here so that this flap lands on itself. And then you take this layer out and push all the paper forward. Like that. Now for the final part of the bottom of this wing, not this part of the wing. Sorry to disappoint you guys. It's going to be another swivel fold right here. Open up, you're gonna open up this pocket. Make another crease that runs along this crease right here. And flatten this out. Then go back here, inside reverse fold that, sink this, and then push this flap in and just throw it under the wing. And there you have it. This is like part of the wing, basically. Like this. The one on the left's a bit bigger because I used a bigger paper. Now that's pretty difficult. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. All of those steps. Really sorry guys, this plan is absolutely insane. Don't think I'll ever top this one. Hopefully if I do, it's going to be a lot better. Because I don't know if this amount of attention to detail, this amount of time is worth it for any other plane. That if it looked like had less details, looked less cool, I don't think it would even be worth all that design. Now swivel fold it to that point. Whoops, here we go. You have to make sure it's accurate. Or else you're going to be kind of screwed. So you do that, and then you basically swivel fold. Right here you have that crease already made. Swivel fold this till you get to there. Thought I'd be done already. Wow. Then fold this edge to, I don't know if you could even see it, this crease that runs from here to here. Open that up, open sync it, fold from here so that this edge lands on itself. And then pull that paper out. Fold the wing back and forward a bit. Then, final part of the bottom of the wing. Swivel fold this, making a new crease on this part. There's a crease, there should be a crease right here. I don't know if you can see it so clearly because it's not as sharp. There is certainly a crease right there. Flatten this part out. Yeah, I'll try to zoom in. Flatten it out. Go to the back of the plane. Untuck that part. Inside reverse it. Open sync fold this. And tuck it behind. And now we are finally almost done with the plane. We only have this part, which isn't so bad. Just fold this up. You see we have that crease right there. Continue that crease a bit right here. Fold this layer to this edge. And you have to basically work all these layers together so that you kind of sync that right there. Sync that part. After that, then you don't really need to do this. You could just leave it like this and fold it down, doesn't matter. What I like to do is fold it down, but then you kind of like, whoa, what the hell? It catches right here, so you refold it. This kind of smooth out that part a bit. You should have two creases, one here, one here. They line up with each other. And then just open it up, close that pocket, and just push it down. That's all pretty much, because I liked having, instead of this part being flat, I liked having it a bit more open like this. Kind of makes it easier to shape the air intakes. Gives it, in my opinion, gives it a better look. Really don't have to do all that. Just what I think. You do the same thing on the other side. Fold this along that crease. It should end about these two creases right here. Should end around there. Open that up. Sync that part. Gotta get like 3 or 4 creases in alignment here. Alright, open this up, fold this down. I'm gonna zoom in. No, that's zoom out, my bad. Zoom in. Open that back up, fold this down. Folding this up. Take this part a bit out until, and like, just to play around with it a bit until it does this, where, see this edge you just made, where this edge you just made lines up with this edge. So what should happen promise we're almost done. And then flatten that out. Put it back down. Forget it ever happened. That's how you got the air intakes. And now there's only 2 more small parts. I don't really know how high my battery is, so I better hurry up. Making the cockpit. Real quick, fold this tip to the bottom. Not the bottom, I mean these 2. Right here, fold that. Take this, fold it back up. Starting right here, you're landing this edge on itself. Same thing on the other side. Kind of worried now. I'm worried that my phone might die. So, do you have a charger next to me? Yes, I do. Be very careful with this. I don't know what could trigger my phone to stop recording, and I don't know how to edit the 2 videos back. Uh-oh. That didn't work. Anyway, I don't know why the chargers never work anyway. Anyway, fold rabbit ear. Fold to one side. Fold to the other side. Take this paper out. Push it forward. Other side, take this paper out, push it forward. So it's a bit wrong here. Whatever, that's fine. I'm sure you guys will get it better than me. Squash this. At least make sure it's even. Right here. And now basically what you're doing is you're going to, if you want to get this kind of 3D look, then you basically fold from here, you see that point right there, to here. I'm in a bit of a rush because I'm not sure how high my battery is and these chargers don't work. Right here too. Then I want to make a crease from the ends of those 2 at the bottom. Just eyeballing it. Hopefully I got it. Yep, I got it. Then you kind of want to do a little thing like this. This should be a, well, this should be a perfect triangle, and this point should be at the center. It should come to a point right at the center. After that, fold it a bit up, not all the way, and then just open it up. So I'm in a bit of a rush here. You it's kind of a squash fold, not really. Don't squash it yet. But it's more like this, basically. You go from the center right here. It's right in there, and you kind of separate these 2 layers, push it down, go under here, swivel both of these around, swivel them both down. So now I have it like this. And now you kind of have a 3D cockpit design. Sorry if mine's a bit messy. I'm sure yours will be a lot better. It's a bit 3D. Or you could go look at my other video to see the normal way to make them. For now, we're going to make it like this. Make sure this layer tucks behind there. And now after an hour and 35 minutes of recording, are finally ready for the final part of the plane. Hopefully my phone doesn't die. First, you tuck these flaps under. Just kind of do that. And then, one second. After you've done that, you want to make sure these flaps are under the landing gear part so you could actually take it out. Make sure that's all done before we do the final glorious jet fold. So make sure that's all said and done. And finally the jet fold. Fold normally. One crease here. Like this. From that point to around here. It's basically an inside reverse fold, but it's called a jet fold because you fold jets like that. Great name. Fold it like this. So this part should kind of hang down. The cockpit's a tidbit messy, but now you take this thing, put it into there. That locks it together, but then you have to tuck it into the plane, push this in, and then tuck it into the plane. So you're basically doing a swivel fold. Tuck this thing in there. Let me just put this tab back in the plane. And then it's pretty much done. Now it's just time to like set the wings. I know that was a long video. That's like an hour and 40 minutes. Now let me just fix this. Of course, you could like try to get a tiny needle into there, like open those up around them. It's pretty hard to do for unless you have like much bigger paper. Maybe like not even much bigger, like 2 inches maybe. Then take this out, pull the landing gear out when you want to put it back in. Just like put it in there, maybe slide it here, because it's not really that good to like squash fold it and the shape gets messed up. So you could just like pull it out like that. Don't like tear it out. Then you've got these little landing gears. You can kind of push them each to the side. You might need to like do a bit of balancing. And the wings should basically look like this. And finally, the engines you could just open up. Like so. And that is a finished Blackjack. I'm very sorry if you couldn't make it through this. Maybe if you want to like fold along here. Just give it a bit of extra design. If you do that, you're going to want to have that at like a 90-degree angle. The fins pointing up and this one being perpendicular to it at 90-degree angle. That gives it a bit of flair. The engines back here don't have much detail, but they're pretty cool to have. You could like open them up just a bit more. I'm very sorry if you couldn't make it through that whole thing, because that is an hour and 40 minutes. It's my most complicated model. I have a lot of complicated models. After that, you're gonna want to open up the air intakes too. They're definitely not as good of air intakes as like playing like Griffin or Archer or even like Metal Hawk that I made in the past, but they are still very good. Just curl them, round them a bit, shape them. Shape them right, they'll end up looking fine. Like that. There you have it. I'm going to be sending this in with like, if I have time, I'll probably make like 2 other videos. Maybe like 3. I want to start posting more, but this year will be much more busy. I'll try to find the time. Still got a lot of planes to make videos of, but that will be it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you were able to follow this. Good night.